as long as Celine Dion can remember, this voice, as she so beautifully describes it, has been the conductor of her life.
I spent all my life in the music industry, being a performer and loving every moment of it.
Within the sacred walls of a Roman church, an extraordinary moment unfolded between Pope Francis and Celine Dion, an event so profound that it continues to spark intrigue and discussion among religious circles. What brought together the spiritual leader of millions and an iconic artist in the midst of her most trying battle? Witnesses described it as nothing short of astonishing, fueling whispers of something far greater at play. Was it divine intervention, a symbolic gesture, or something entirely unexpected? The truth behind this incredible encounter has remained shrouded in mystery until now. In this video, we'll take you inside the remarkable series of events that led to this unforgettable meeting and explore how Pope Francis and Celine Dion sent shockwaves through faith communities worldwide. This is a story you won't want to miss. Shocking moment in church. Inside the peaceful confines of a centuries-old Roman church, an extraordinary moment unfolded that would leave everyone present stunned. The church, bathed in the soft glow of sunlight filtering through intricate stained glass windows, was nearly empty, save for a few visitors seeking solace in prayer. Among them was Celine Dion, quietly seated in a pew near the back, her head bowed and her hands clasped as she prayed. Unbeknownst to her, Pope Francis had entered the church for his own private reflection. As his gaze fell upon Celine, he approached her with his characteristic humility and compassion. The encounter began with a simple gesture. Rumors have it that Pope Francis approached Celine Dion in a serene Roman church, his demeanor humble and comforting. It is said he extended an invitation for her to join him at the altar. There, the two knelt together, sharing a quiet moment of prayer that some describe as deeply personal and moving. Though the exact details remain unclear, this rumored interaction continues to inspire fascination and speculation. In this sacred moment, the Pope prayed aloud for her healing and strength, his voice soft but filled with conviction. Speculation suggests that as Pope Francis finished his prayer, an extraordinary beam of light suddenly illuminated the space. The light, described as brighter and more focused than natural sunlight, seemed to center on Celine Dion and the Pope, creating an almost ethereal moment. This rumored phenomenon has led many to wonder if it was a symbolic gesture of divine intervention or a remarkable coincidence that added an extraordinary layer to their interaction. A handful of visitors in the church were amazed by what they saw as they whispered in thrilled disbelief. Some believed it was a divine sign and a great moment of heavenly intervention and significance. Others considered it a pure coincidence, albeit rather well timed, but interesting nonetheless. Whatever the differing viewpoint, the experience remained deep and profound for every one of those present. That was a test for Celine, one that made her cry and clutch the wooden rosary that the Pope had just given her. She was warm in a cloak of peace and hope, as if God were healing her wounds. Pope Francis, as gentle as ever, smiled and laid his hand the last time on her shoulder and moved away, giving her a moment to reconcile the intensity of the moment. The event, which some would call miraculous, would soon be taken beyond the church walls into a global, real place where all conversation would revolve around faith and resilience, with the questions facing the realities of divine intervention. But what led Celine Dion to that quiet Roman church on this fateful day? Her reasons may surprise you and reveal a deeper struggle that made this encounter even more extraordinary. Why Celine Dion was in church. Celine Dion's journey to the quiet Roman church was deeply rooted in her ongoing battle with a rare and debilitating condition known as stiff person syndrome. The neurological disorder, which causes severe muscle spasms and stiffness, had taken a significant toll on her physically and emotionally. Once known for her powerful voice and electrifying stage presence, Celine found herself struggling to perform even the simplest of movements. This diagnosis forced her to cancel numerous performances, leaving her fans heartbroken and her future uncertain. Rumors claim that Celine Dion traveled to Rome to seek specialized medical advice for her battle with stiff person syndrome. The story suggests she met with a highly regarded neurologist known for exploring advanced treatments, including experimental options like deep brain stimulation. It is said this consultation weighed heavily on her, prompting her to seek solace in a nearby church, a decision that would lead to a deeply spiritual encounter. This procedure, which involves implanting electrodes in specific areas of the brain, held the promise of alleviating her symptoms. However, it was not without risks. The possibility of complications loomed large, and the thought of undergoing such an invasive treatment weighed heavily on her mind. Celine, known for her resilience, found herself grappling with uncertainty and fear as she contemplated her next steps. After the consultation, Celine felt deeply conflicted. Therefore, she needed a spot to gather her wits and find peace after such a heavy decision. So, she had sent her driver to the closest church, wanting to be quiet for a bit as she collected her thoughts and prayed. The centuries-old church, with its towering ceilings and stained glass windows, provided her a sense of peace and refuge. She wore a simple white dress and a beige scarf, her face reflecting exhaustion and quiet determination. She sat at the back of a pew, closed her eyes, and started praying in hurried whispers, pouring her fears and hopes in quietude. For Celine, visiting the church wasn't only a time for reflection, but also surrender on her part. While going through the struggles, the woman turned to her faith for strength to guide her through. Well, at that moment, while kneeling and praying, she had some thoughts going back and forth between her fears of the surgery and her deep wish to sing again. It wouldn't be long before she found her tranquil moment interrupted by what would turn out to be a most extraordinary encounter. The entrance of Pope Francis, who she idolized above all others, marking the start of an experience not just to refresh her faith, but provide that very hope within herself she sought so fully. Pope Francis's unprecedented act. As Celine Dion knelt in quiet prayer, Pope Francis, known for his humility and compassion, approached her with a gentle demeanor. His presence was unexpected, yet it felt natural in the sacred space of the church. Dressed in his simple white robe, he smiled warmly and extended a hand, inviting her to join him at the altar. Celine hesitated momentarily, overwhelmed by the surprise of meeting such a significant spiritual figure in her moment of vulnerability. Gathering her composure, she accepted his invitation, walking alongside him toward the altar, where a deeply personal and unprecedented exchange was about to unfold. At the altar, Pope Francis began with a heartfelt prayer, speaking softly but with conviction. His words were not merely a blessing, but a deeply empathetic acknowledgement of Celine's struggles. He prayed for her healing, resilience, and the restoration of her voice, recognizing the immense emotional and spiritual toll her condition had taken. Then, in a surprising gesture, he anointed her forehead and hands with holy oil, a sacramental act usually reserved for the sick or those in need of spiritual strength. This intimate moment carried a profound significance, underscoring the Pope's commitment to extending compassion in a deeply personal way. With this anointing, Pope Francis presented a small wooden rosary to Celine. The very simplicity of the object was packed with strong meaning. It signified faith and perseverance, and incorporated all the burden she carried into the strength she could draw from that part of her spirituality. As he gave her this piece of wood, he spoke low about how one could find God's presence in grand miracles, but even more in the little things he had to do with courage and determination. Celine wept as she clutched the rosary, overwhelmed by a sense of peace and hope for the first time in what felt like an eternity. In fact, this act was so extraordinarily personal and profoundly moving. This is what Pope Francis has done here that has preceded all others in that regard. All his outreach is commandeered by the world. This action is beyond all bounds. It was no scheduled event or official audience, but an impromptu deep spell of spiritual connection. Celine was caught up in her suffering, and by soothing words, she would receive physical manifestations at once of faith and healing. This is the whole essence of his papal mission, to meet people in their points of crisis and to offer pastoral care in difficult times. For Celine, this has proved monumental. It has rejuvenated her faith and lifted her tears in ways that no one could have imagined. Emotional journey. Celine Dion's life was forever changed when she was diagnosed with stiff person syndrome, a rare and debilitating neurological condition that left her struggling with severe muscle stiffness and spasms. Known for her extraordinary voice and boundless energy on stage, Celine found herself facing a stark new reality. The condition made even simple movements difficult, forcing her to cancel her performances and step away from the career she loved. For a woman who lived to connect with her fans through music, this was not just a physical battle, but an emotional and spiritual one as well. As the condition progressed, Celine's once vibrant world seemed to close in on her. She spent countless hours in therapy and consultations with medical specialists, searching for answers and clinging to the hope that she might regain her strength. The demands of her treatments were grueling. Physical therapy, vocal exercises, and experimental medical procedures filled her days. Despite her efforts, the road to recovery was slow and filled with uncertainty. Moments of despair crept in as she wondered if she would ever return to the stage, or if her voice, which had touched millions, would ever be the same. Celine's faith, though tested during difficult times, remained a source of comfort rooted in the Catholic traditions she had followed throughout her life. But now, with the progression of her illness, Celine started questioning the meaning of having to go through all this. Was something divine testing her, or was it an opportunity to find again her strength? Such thoughts would often leave her swinging between the two extreme emotions of hope and doubt, trying hard to rationalize the situation, but still trying to muster the will to go ahead. This emotional journey culminated in her deeply transformative meeting with Pope Francis. This 3-minute event, which contained a blessing, a rosary, and simple words from the Pope, did not only rekindle something in Celine's life, but ignited a renewed sense of purpose and faith. It dawned on her that her fight was not against regaining her voice, but entailed rethinking her identity and strength. It was this sight that gave her the determination to view that journey, not only as her struggle, but also as a brave testimony of her spirit. Celine's private life was transformed from pain and doubt to hope, and a connection with what that hope represented in her faith and her humanity. Word of this mysterious event didn't stay within the church walls. What happened next sparked a worldwide conversation that no one saw coming. The miraculous phenomenon. As Celine Dion knelt alongside Pope Francis in the quiet Roman church, the atmosphere was serene, yet charged with an almost palpable sense of significance. The Pope had just completed a deeply personal prayer for her healing and resilience, his voice resonating softly within the sacred walls. As the two rose to their feet, something extraordinary occurred. A beam of light, brighter and more focused than any natural sunlight, streamed through the high, arched windows, bathing both Celine and the Pope in a radiant glow. The light seemed to envelop them, creating an ethereal moment that captured the awe of everyone present. Witnesses who were in the church at the time described the scene as otherworldly. Some claimed the beam of light was perfectly timed with the conclusion of Pope Francis's prayer, suggesting it was a divine affirmation of his blessing. Others noted that the light appeared to focus solely on Celine and the Pope, leaving the rest of the church in shadow. For those who witnessed it, the phenomenon transcended explanation. The church, already a place of profound spiritual significance, suddenly felt like the epicenter of something miraculous. The responses to the event spread like wildfire within the religious community and beyond. To devout believers, this was truly a sign of God, a heavenly intervention signifying both the Pope's prayer and Celine's struggles. Skeptics, on their part, would shrug it off as coincidence or a trick of light dependent upon the angle of the sun. Whichever way one looked at it, however, it remained a fact that the timing and intensity of the light were such as to be etched in memory by anyone there. For Celine personally, this light was also very personal and transforming. To her heart, it signified hope and assurance, a divine reminder that her prayers did not go unheard. Tearful, she clutched the wooden rosary bestowed by Pope Francis and felt her faith and courage renewed, washing away her fears. This moment would turn into a concrete stone in the progress of her life, a measure of the power of belief and the profound mysteries of faith. It would stay with her forever, to draw her up against her challenges from then on with renewed determination. The public reaction. News of the extraordinary encounter between Pope Francis and Celine Dion quickly spread beyond the walls of the Roman Church, sparking a wave of intrigue and debate across the world. Witnesses who had seen the mysterious beam of light illuminating the two figures shared their accounts, describing it as nothing short of miraculous. The story gained traction in religious communities, with many interpreting the event as a divine sign of God's intervention in response to Pope Francis's prayer. For devout believers, it was a reaffirmation of faith, a moment that showcased the power of prayer and the sacred nature of the Pope's mission. Fans of Celine Dion were equally captivated by the story, rallying around their beloved icon with messages of love and support. Many saw the encounter as a turning point in her battle with stiff person syndrome, a sign that her journey toward recovery might hold hope and divine guidance. Social media became flooded with messages of encouragement, with hashtags like #Celine and the Pope and #Miracle in Rome trending as fans speculated about the significance of the event. The outpouring of support highlighted how deeply Celine's struggles had resonated with people worldwide. The religious community was divided in its interpretations. Most hailed the miracle, while some advised caution, asking the people to note that a natural phenomenon could cause the beam of light. Skeptics questioned that whether the timing of the light had been truly divine or just luck. Some religious scholars even debated as to whether such occurrences could count as miracles at all, without further investigation. The conversations, scattered though they may be, reflected humanity's universal fascination with faith, mystery, and what else is most fundamentally human. Against all the arguments, however, one thing was to be clear. This had struck a global nerve: dialogue on resilience, spirituality, and the nature of divine intervention. For many, the story's significance went beyond the beam of light, symbolizing a connection between two iconic figures carrying their own burdens. Whether seen as miracle, coincidence, or excited act of faith, this was an event worth calling to the world to remember, because much hope and much need are tied to the human condition to find meaning in extraordinary moments. Impact on Pope Francis's mission. The encounter with Celine Dion inside the Roman Church exemplified Pope Francis's unwavering commitment to his mission of compassion, inclusivity, and faith. Known for his ability to connect with people from all walks of life, the Pope's act of personally comforting and praying with Celine underscored his dedication to offering spiritual solace to those in need. His decision to anoint her with holy oil, a deeply personal and meaningful gesture, resonated with the core tenets of his papacy: meeting people where they are and addressing their struggles with empathy and humility. This moment was particularly significant because it highlighted Pope Francis's focus on the intersection of faith and human suffering. By extending his blessing to a global icon like Celine Dion, the Pope reminded the world that no one is beyond the need for spiritual guidance and care. His actions sent a powerful message that faith is not confined to the rituals of religion, but is a living, breathing force meant to support and uplift individuals in their darkest moments. This approach has been a cornerstone of his leadership, redefining the papacy as a more approachable and compassionate role. It showed how Pope Francis was really intending to reach out to the more general public in today's world. By spending time with Celine, who has no traditional religious base but really connects to such themes through her music and personal belief system, he was showing the sort of church that he wants to build as an example to hope for all. It reminded people that faith crosses boundaries to connect fellow humans, one to the other, regardless of status, background, or situation. It was a moment symbolizing the universality of the Church's message and relevance in the world today. The occasion reinforced the image of Pope Francis as a spiritual leader by example. By this measure, he was extending the same tomb where there fell a Celine or a Philip, or whoever one might imagine, to millions who heard of it, letting close millions, or a few more, personally benefit from it. It was a means to very powerfully remind him of his mission, to extend a hand of hope and faith to the world that so often feels so burdened by division and despair. What his very simple and honest acts meant came across to believers and skeptics alike, and confirmed him in a role of Pope made by the human heart and the transformative power of compassion. Renewed faith and strength. Celine Dion left the Roman Church that day with more than just a rosary in her hand. She carried a profound sense of hope that had been missing from her life. The encounter with Pope Francis and the mysterious beam of light that surrounded them during their prayer felt like a divine reassurance, a reminder that she was not alone in her struggles. For Celine, this moment marked a turning point. Her faith, which had been tested by the relentless challenges of her illness, found new life in the simplicity of the Pope's words and the serenity of the Church. It was as though the burdens she had been carrying felt a little lighter and her spirit a little stronger. The Pope's encouragement reminded Celine that faith isn't always about grand miracles, but often about the quiet resilience to face life's trials with courage. His words, combined with the symbolic gesture of the rosary, resonated deeply with her. She began to see her journey not just as a series of struggles, but as an opportunity to rediscover her inner strength. The experience shifted her perspective, allowing her to approach her treatments and recovery with a renewed determination. It wasn't just about fighting her condition anymore. It was about finding joy and purpose in the journey itself. This renewed faith greatly influenced Celine's perspective on her career and music. It did not say that voice was a challenge. Indeed, it could adapt and change rather than considering it a loss. Inspired by the Pope's blessing and that ephemeral moment of light, she started working again with even greater zeal on her recovery. Each session of therapy would become just a step towards the reconnection to music, and every small gate would be a reason to cheer. The shift even drew the fans in closer, jumping into her arms with even more fervor and love. The encounter with Pope Francis marked a whole chapter in her story. A moment proving to Celine once again the exercise of belief and the strength within her. She was ready to move forward in her life with that belief and patience, loving the chance to influence many others with their own struggles. Her faith was rekindled, inspiring both her and her fans with the belief that, even in adversity, humanity can find the strength to rise again. That was for Celine survivalism, but full, original living on the wings of a new hope and purpose. Celine's next chapter. Following her transformative encounter with Pope Francis, Celine Dion began the next chapter of her life with a renewed sense of purpose and hope. This pivotal moment gave her the emotional strength to face her battle with stiff person syndrome head-on. She returned to her treatments with a fresh perspective, embracing each therapy session as a step closer to reclaiming her life and her voice. While the road to recovery remained challenging, Celine's newfound resilience helped her navigate the ups and downs with grace and determination. It was clear that she was not just fighting for herself, but also for her fans and loved ones who believed in her. Some stories suggest that a documentary titled "I Am Celine Dion" chronicles her struggles with stiff person syndrome and her inspiring journey toward recovery. It is rumored that the film delves into her moments of vulnerability, her determination to overcome adversity, and her connection to faith. This has fueled curiosity among fans, eager to see a deeper glimpse into her personal life. The documentary captured not only her physical challenges, but also the emotional and spiritual growth that stemmed from her encounter with the Pope. Through this film, she invited her audience into her world, sharing moments of vulnerability and strength, and offering a message of hope to those facing their own battles. The release of the documentary was met with overwhelming support, as fans celebrated her courage and transparency. A notable turning point for Celine was her rumored performance at the Paris Olympics, marking a major step in her comeback. It marked her first public performance after having withdrawn from the stage due to illness. Though her voice was not as powerful as it used to be, the raw emotion and sheer guts with which it was performed brought it to the audiences worldwide. This, after all, was not just a comeback. Such things went forward to prove the indomitable spirit that has refused to be defined by the condition. It was a proud moment for her fans, for it proved that, indeed, she has an unbreakable bond with her music and her audience. Her story continues to inspire people worldwide, serving as a testament to hope and resilience. She has embraced this path, channeling her creative talent into new endeavors that reflect her evolving abilities. By self-advocacy and personal stories, or just new songs or lyrics, Celine will put that out there. Her new chapter is not just about reclaiming what she's lost, but embracing a bright future full of possibilities, guided by the faith and strength she rediscovered in that quiet Roman church. In the years that followed, Celine continued to use her platform to raise awareness about stiff person syndrome and inspire others facing similar challenges. She partnered with medical organizations and advocacy groups to fund research and support initiatives for those battling rare neurological disorders. Her openness about her struggles resonated with people from all walks of life, turning her personal fight into a universal message of resilience and perseverance. Celine's journey reminded the world that even the strongest among us can face immense trials, but it's our ability to rise, adapt, and give back that defines our true legacy. Celine's journey forward was inspiring, but the impact of her story reached far beyond her personal triumph, changing the way the world sees faith and resilience. A story that shook the world. The encounter between Pope Francis and Celine Dion inside the Roman Church is a story that transcends faith, celebrity, and circumstance. It is a tale of human connection, resilience, and the mysteries of hope in the face of adversity. The unexplained beam of light that illuminated their prayer was a moment that left witnesses awestruck and sparked debates around the world. Whether viewed as a miracle, a coincidence, or a profound spiritual experience, it reminded people everywhere of the power of belief and the comfort faith can bring during life's darkest moments. For Pope Francis, the event symbolized the heart of his mission as a spiritual leader, to bring solace and strength to those in need. His compassionate gesture towards Celine was not just an act of kindness, but a reflection of his commitment to connecting with people on a deeply personal level. It reinforced his message that faith is not confined to rituals or doctrines, but is instead a living force that can provide comfort and strength to anyone, regardless of their background or status. His actions in the church resonated far beyond its walls, inspiring millions to reflect on the role of faith in their own lives. This meeting was a breakthrough for Celine Dion, as it provided her with the strength to keep moving forward into the future with restored faith. It had rekindled her faith, through the Pope's blessings and encouragement, to frame the struggles she had faced as understood growing and building resilience. The journey that now moved millions of fans around the world became an even more powerful witness to how the human spirit can withstand enormous hardships. Through her music, in her documentary, and by making her triumphant return to the stage, Celine is a constant living reminder to others to find strength in their own lives. The world may view this as a moment shared and celebrated by a global community, reflecting the importance of faith and connection. It is a testament to the beauty of faith, the power of compassion, and the resiliency of the human soul. The meeting of Pope Francis with Celine Dion was more than a meeting between two famous people. It became the experience of millions, and it will inspire for many years to come. Miracle? Coincidence? Either way, one thing is certain. This story has brought touch and renewed hope to hearts around the world. Beyond the immediate impact of their encounter, the story of Pope Francis and Celine Dion has continued to resonate, sparking movements of unity and compassion across communities worldwide. Faith leaders have used this moment as a call to action, encouraging individuals to embrace acts of kindness and seek spiritual connections in their daily lives. Fans of Celine Dion have found renewed inspiration not only in her music, but also in her message of perseverance and hope. This extraordinary moment has become a symbol of how seemingly small personal interactions can ripple outward, creating waves of hope, resilience, and a shared sense of humanity in an often divided world. Thanks for joining us on this incredible journey. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like this video, share your thoughts in the comments, and hit subscribe so you never miss an update. And while you're here, click on the next video shown on your screen. You're going to love it. See you there.